Alrighty then, back once again for another reaction. This time it's another death battle, which is Hulk versus Doomsday. And yeah, now I'm looking forward to this, mainly because I would tip Hulk to win any fight that you put him in. I'm basing this on how much of a beast he is, you know, we all know that, and the fact that he smashed Loki around while he pathetically was like, I am a demigod. Bang, bang, puny god. That was such a great scene. And I've seen clips from the Justice League cartoon, was it? He wiped the floor with all of them, so they found some special way to subdue him or something, but he kicked everyone's ass, including Superman, I think. Like, he's big news. I remember in a previous death battle, they mentioned that the Hulk has supported a 1 billion-ton mountain on his back. So he has strength off the charts. So I think when it comes to raw power, there is barely anything that could stand up to him that isn't from anime or something. See, I have a hard time believing that he's going to lose, but on the other hand, I know absolutely next to nothing about Doomsday. The only thing I can kind of remember is hearing his name in regards to a Superman movie or something. I think he's from Superman lore. So, I think I'll need to wait until I hear more about him more than anything. So, yeah, I'm eager to get a refresher on the Hulk because he is good. And, you teach me about Doomsday, please. Away we go.
Pure, unadulterated.
Yes.
Usually, in a stressful situation, you'd want to avoid this sort of emotion.
You need to include the angry German kid.
Unless you're a giant rampaging pile of muscles.
Oh wow.
Like these two.
Dr. Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk.
And Doomsday, the monster who killed Superman.
He killed Superman, okay.
And it's our job to analyze their
Maybe this isn't clear cut.
To find out who would win a death battle.
Okay, blocky 3D.
Within each of us, oft times, there dwells a mighty and raging fury. And this suits no one better than the mild-mannered scientist, Bruce Banner.
Cause when Bruce gets angry,
That was an epic
boy,
scene. I
you
love
wouldn't
that.
like him when he's angry.
Dr. Robert Bruce Banner may have grown up with few friends, but what he lacked in popularity, he made up tenfold with his intellect. However, in spite of his gifts, it was never
It was such a
enough to
great
earn the respect and
balance.
love of his father.
The physicality of Hulk and the brain of Banner. That's really cool.
Literally thought he was a monster and expressed that to Bruce pretty thoroughly. God damn! How much distance do you think you got there, kid?
9.
It's out of the park.
With an arm like that, he could really go places. Like the nut house after he murdered his wife right in front of Bruce. Aw.
Understandably traumatized, Bruce
Wow.
coped by creating an imaginary friend to talk to.
You know, I had an imaginary friend once.
Really?
What was his name?
Dad.
Oh. Well, Bruce's friend served as an emotional
Way to
outlet
just
all the
drop
way
that
through
on
his
us.
college graduation. However, his advice to Bruce was oftentimes destructive.
So when the U.S. military recruited Bruce to make weapons, it was actually kind of fitting.
Bruce was tasked with developing a gamma bomb, which would use gamma radiation to target enemy weapons and buildings without endangering human lives. At
Basically
least
an
that's what Bruce was
EMP?
told.
Surprise, surprise, gamma radiation is actually pretty fucking harmful. And when it came time to test the bomb and some dumb kid decided to play his harmonica right in the test zone,
I love this
Bruce
old
asked his
animation.
assistant to stop the countdown and dashed off to safety. But turns out his assistant was a Russian spy who set off the bomb anyway.
On that strange day, Bruce's imaginary friend became a real-life terror as he transformed into the Incredible Hulk.
Why the green skin, though?
Really?
Yes, apparently. Ever since, whenever he's angry, Bruce's body and mind morphs into that of the Hulk's, granting him unmeasurable
What about the green
power.
skin? Is at least
While he
Boomstick
loses
gonna bring this up?
brain power, the Hulk is ridiculously strong. He can leap great distances, survive the harshest environments, and most importantly, smash the crap out of everything with his bare fists.
He also knows a technique known as the thunderclap, which creates a shockwave that can definitely
Which has appeared in multiple things, in multiple mediums.
As if he needed anything
But if
more
he's
than
the one that invented
the
it,
Hulk
fair
has a
enough.
healing factor that gives Wolverines a run for his money.
They're healing. You should be dead.
He's super strong and super hard to kill. What's not to like?
Well, there's one little detail that kind of ruins the whole experience. Bruce can't really control the Hulk. In fact, the Hulk is his own being, and they both hate each other, vying for dominance over Bruce's body. And yet, Bruce and the Hulk are often reminded how much they depend on each other for survival.
Bruce figured if he was stuck with his big green Goliath forever, he might as well try using it for good, eventually joining the Avengers, Defenders, the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, he's been everywhere.
Hulk has held up a 150 billion ton
150 billion, that's even better.
gravitational pull with a single jump.
And one time when a planet's tectonic plates started splitting apart, threatening to shatter the whole world, he just jumped right in there and pulled the planet back together.
That is
The
awesome.
estimated average mass of a single lithospheric plate is nearly 45 quintillion tons, and the Hulk pulled 2 of these together with nothing but his bare hands.
And he's not
That's
just strong and
science
tough,
for
he's
ya.
more than twice as fast as a fighter jet, which puts him over Mach 5 speeds at least. And he can always go faster if he's pissed off.
Yeah, so much for
This is
sacrificing
because the
speed for
savage
strength.
Hulk's strength is directly related to his anger. The angrier he gets, the more powerful he becomes. In theory, this means his maximum level of strength is potentially infinite. And
Depending
when
how
taps
pissed
into
he
that
is.
immeasurable rage to the fullest, he truly lives up to his name of Worldbreaker.
Bigger, stronger, and oozing with gamma radiation, the Worldbreaker Hulk is so powerful, with a single stomp he created earthquakes felt hundreds of miles away. In his battle with Sentry, basically Marvel Superman, they almost destroyed New York. And when battling another Worldbreaker Hulk, a single collision between them obliterated an entire planet.
Even the
Wow.
mutant Darwin's
So he's
power, which
like
specifically adapts
DBZ
to counter
levels.
Any enemy, decided that the best defense against the Hulk was to be somewhere else.
Holy hell!
That's good advice.
Who could even stand up to this madness?
Not many, obviously. Typically, Bruce does his best to contain and limit the Hulk's power. In fact, Worldbreaker Hulk is a result of Bruce relinquishing that control entirely. In terms of combat,
Wow.
usually only cosmic beings like Silver Surfer or Zeus have the might to challenge the Hulk.
Oh yeah, like that one
I
time
like that Zeus
so
appeared.
hard, it burned out his healing factor.
But even gods sometimes have to learn the hard way. You do not
Amazing.
mess with the Incredible Hulk.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Get friggin' wrecked.
Puny god.
Damn straight.
What if all you had ever known was hatred and aggression, violence and pain? This life
Guts
is
from
reality
Berserk?
for
YouTube comments, Doomsday, yeah, the Doomsday guy.
Thousands of years ago, on an uninhabitable prehistoric planet which would one day be known as Krypton, a scientist named Patron intended to engineer the ultimate life form.
Yep.
Shadow the
One
Hedgehog?
of those stories, but with one hell of a twist.
See, at this time, Krypton was a harsh wasteland filled with nothing but sharp rocks, poisonous air, and violent predators.
Bertrand
Those
believed
were a
that if
lot
he
of
could create
spikes.
something that could live
Unless
through
it's just
that,
the way the
he could
shadows were
survive
drawn.
Just about anywhere.
To realize this theory, Bertrand acquired an infant from somewhere, and through a rapidly accelerated evolution process,
Just found it under the rug.
him into his dream creation.
Oh, don't try to dance around it, Wiz. Bertrand put that little sucker into a baby cannon, blasted him into the wild to get murdered by any number of things, sucked up what was left of him with a vacuum cleaner, and just cloned a new one out of the mess to do it all over again.
What?
Yeah, the idea being each new clone would be stronger than the one before, thus covering millions of years of evolution in just a few decades.
That
Still
doesn't
sucks
sound
for
like
the dead
science.
copies.
No, it doesn't. So after 30 straight years of baby murder, one of the clones
Baby
finally survived
murder.
the test. Amazed by his own success, Bertrand named this baby the Ultimate.
The ultimate baby.
But to the rest of the universe, he was their Doomsday.
Right, so that's where that comes from. But I feel sorry for him because of what he had to go through to get there.
Successful as Bertrand's experiment was, it was anything but a good idea. Turns out,
A
while
bit like
Doomsday
removing
usually appears to be a
Wolverine's
mindless
memories,
beast,
making
he
him an
remembered
animalistic
every
killer.
single time Bertrand had him killed.
Didn't work out.
As a result, Doomsday had been unintentionally programmed at a genetic level to hate everything that lives.
Bummer. Needless to say, Bertrand was pretty screwed.
Because even with 30 years of development, Bertrand had never quite figured out what to do if his experiment actually worked. Because Bertrand
Wow.
was the worst.
I mean, he did. do
That
what
is
he
just
set out to
a
do.
fail
He
of the
made an
millennium.
dead monster that doesn't need to eat, breathe, or have internal organs to live. It just kills and kills and kills.
Then how do you
Doomsday
kill it?
possesses enormous strength, incredible durability, and poisonous spikes which can extend. But due to Bertrand's experiments, Doomsday's greatest power of all is his ability to adapt to his opponent's powers.
After taking his sweet revenge,
Mm-hmm.
Doomsday stowed away on a supply ship and ravaged dozens of planets until he finally found himself on Earth.
On that day, Doomsday did the unthinkable. On that day, Doomsday
Killed Superman.
Well, kind of. He actually put him into a super sleep. After several days, he kind of woke up more powerful.
Yeah, we all know.
Thank
At
you for
least
clarifying
put
that,
Doomsday down
because
with
that
him.
was a major
Or
thing that
maybe
was on
not.
my mind.
Turns out, whenever Doomsday dies, he just comes back to life, forever immune to whatever killed him in the first place.
So, does that mean Hulk can win?
He's been punched to death by Superman, blasted apart by the Radiant's energy, brutally ripped in half, incinerated by Imperiex, and just curb stomped by a Kryptonian horde.
Practically invulnerable at this point, Doomsday's taken on Darkseid, tanking his Omega beams and beating him to near death. He's
Oh,
single-handedly
Darkseid.
defeated most
My
of the Justice
apologies.
League
In the
and took on
beginning,
an
the villain I
energy
was
attack
thinking
wiped
of
out
that
a
got
fifth of a
mentioned was
planet.
Darkseid, not
He's
Doomsday.
punched through the Phantom Zone, battled super beings called Gogs for a century, and even broken Wonder Woman's arms. Arms strong enough to help pull the Earth.
And during his rematch with the Man of Steel, after witnessing Doomsday survive an explosion equivalent to 1 million nukes,
All
Superman
right.
realized that the only way to stop him was to send him to the end of time.
At his most powerful,
My mind is
Doomsday's
changing.
spirit presence can boil the ocean and disintegrate buildings. A casual stroll across Africa made wildebeest an endangered species just by walking around. But what he's got in strength, he really lacks in brains.
Not that he's dumb, he just
Well, when Bruce is in
literally
Hulk
lacks a
form,
brain.
he's
More often
not
than
that
not,
well
Doomsday
thought
is
out
no
either.
more than a one-track mind-killing machine. This makes his intentions predictable, and a clever opponent could use this to, say, lead him into a trap. And should that foe come up with a new way to hurt Doomsday, he could be killed.
Still, that's gonna be pretty goddamn hard to do.
I really like the colours of that comic. Jeez, I love how violent cartoons were able to get in that period.
All
But
right,
obviously
the
it's got
bets
nothing
are
on the
set.
torture
Let's
porn
end
that was
this
Tom and
debate
Jerry,
once
am
and
I
for
right?
all.
But first, Wiz won't stop talking about this thing, so he wants to tell you about it.
And I'm not going to listen to it. It's already muted. Now you see, I was so ready for the Hulk to roll this battle, but everything they just said about Doomsday makes him seem beyond overpowered to the point that I think it's entirely possible that he will kill the Hulk. Especially with how they said he's been killed by so many things, he's now immune to that kind of thing, you know, because of the rebirth process and stuff. And so even if Hulk wins this battle, won't Doomsday just come back? I mean, does that really count as killing him? Well, I guess it does. It'd be like winning the fight, but not winning the war. But now I'm very conflicted over whether Hulk can do this. I mean, you know, there's every possibility he can do it, but there's also the fact that Doomsday just seems like he's that step beyond. So I think I'm going to make a concrete prediction and say I think that they're going to have Doomsday win this. It just seemed like he had a bit more he could tap into. Even though Hulk is a monster. I see why people want these two to fight. Wilhelm scream! It's go time! Fight! Yeah, of course it starts off like a bit of a boxing match. Oh, now it's kickboxing. Oh, I like this music. It reminds me of the 90s rock stations. Yeah, I'm liking the balance of this 3D battle so far. Yeah, there's silhouette people, but the damage and characters themselves don't look half bad. You probably don't even need to punch those away. You could just let them flip off here. Car gloves! Does anyone remember the giant novelty gloves you could have of the Hulk as a child?
Hulk, hate you.
You hate everything in this state.
Spiky beard.
If the Hulk does win, I bet he's going to go World Buster. We'll see how that does. Is he going to do it now?
You break buildings good. Hulk, break walls.
Ah, right. Yeah, World Breaker Hulk. Oh, the music's kicked up again. Of course, these two are mainly about physical strength. It was always going to be a brawl. That's what we've been seeing. Ouch! This is a really good matchup. I think this is it. Oh. So I guess he can be stabbed and things like that. Hey, I got it right this time. Jeez.
Oh, that was beautiful.
With the Hulk's immeasurable power and Doomsday's impossible immortality,
The ultraviolets
this
were
really felt
strong.
like a fight between an unstoppable force and an immovable object.
Hulk may have had the advantage in raw strength, at least at his full potential, but Doomsday could certainly hold his ground. His victories against the likes of Superman and Darkseid
everything they
proved he
told
can
me
take it
about
from someone
Doomsday
strong enough to
put him
break
ahead
the
for
lens.
me.
And by experience, Doomsday had the speed advantage. He regularly fights foes with light speed capabilities, while that kind of speed is an extreme rarity in the Marvel Universe. In fact, the only foe that fast who Hulk's ever seemed to keep pace with in a one-on-one match was Sentry, and that was when he was at his most powerful stage, Worldbreaker Hulk.
So overall, Hulk had strength and Doomsday had speed, but neither completely outclassed the other. At first
Yeah,
glance,
which is what
this
made it
one
tough.
looked like it could go either way.
Which means the devil's in the very tiny details.
So why couldn't the Hulk's infinite strength
Yeah.
keep rising and eventually overwhelm Doomsday?
Well, even assuming Hulk's strength was infinite, his healing factor was not. Don't get me wrong, it
He
can
can
only
be
deal with
stabbed.
attacks by hits from absurdly powerful beings such as Zeus or Sentry, whom Doomsday certainly compares.
Naturally, Doomsday's crazy strength and speed started wearing that healing factor down.
It
Here's
also
where it
helps
gets
that
a
he
bit
had sharp
tricky.
weapons.
The Hulk may look like a giant green monster, but he's still technically human, and his power directly correlates with his anger. A human being's anger stems from an increase in hormones and adrenaline in the body. However, the brain can only produce these chemicals at such a rate for a limited time. eventually giving up and turning apathetic. Therefore, Hulk's limitless power could never have existed without his healing factor. It's the key. It allowed his body to continue producing hormones and adrenaline far beyond the norm, theoretically an endless supply, thus increasing his superhuman power to an immeasurable degree. So, Doomsday overtaxing his healing factor meant the Hulk could no longer maintain his increasing rage and Hulk form.
And if you're still skeptical, that's why there's a bunch of times
Right.
in comics when
So the more damage he's taking, the more he's taxing the healing factor and the weaker he becomes.
With his healing power beaten down, he literally couldn't keep himself angry enough to stay in Hulk mode.
I love science, but there's still one more thing. Thanks to his battles with Superman and other Kryptonians, Doomsday has evolved to a point where it's basically impossible to kill him with brute force alone.
So Hulk couldn't
That's another
kill
thing
him
I
by
was
just
worrying
getting
about.
angry enough to punch harder than Doomsday ever felt.
Precisely. Here's the proof. Superman and Doomsday eventually had a rematch, in which Superman was much more powerful than their first battle. As we discussed before, Superman's power is also potentially limitless by way of continually absorbing solar energy, and at this point in his story, he'd begun to discover that.
But try as he might, despite his increased power, Supes couldn't kill Doomsday with blunt force a second time.
Ultimately, Doomsday's immunity to being ripped, impaled, incinerated, blasted with energy, and being beaten by blunt force from both focused and multiple sources.
It was
means Hulk
impossible.
just didn't have the options available to take Doomsday out before his healing factor was overtaxed.
On this day, Hulk met
So
his
this
doom.
didn't even need to be a fight.
Doomsday.
The winner is Doomsday.
It was literally impossible. Well, I am glad that for once my instinct was right. I actually correctly predicted that Doomsday would win. I was wrong about Ramona Flowers winning, and I don't think I made a concrete suggestion for Mewtwo's Shadow. Yeah, I'd leave that up in the air. But I tipped Scout to beat Tracer, and I've heard that there was some shit research done for that match. That is what it is. I won't argue about it, but I'm happy to finally be getting one right. That, something I was prepared to stick with, and it ended up coming true. I just had that feeling in the back of my head. I was like, can he even be killed? Seems not, at least by what Hulk can do. Because if his only option was to pummel him with brute strength, and it was quite clearly stated at the end that he can't be killed that way anymore, there's no fight. There's just the foregone conclusion, and the animation to get us there. As soon as this fight is brought up, there is no way for this character to kill that character. Right, let's go home. Let's not bother. But this is an entertainment series, and what an entertaining fight that was. They really know how to do their choreography, these guys. So even if it's two purely physical fighters, they can give us a good, round of fighting, boxing, wrestling, whatever, to entertain our eyeballs. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm very happy with what I have witnessed here today. There are only 2 more death battles left. Zoro Urza and Deadpool Pinkie Pie, which is the one I'm most looking forward to. But until then, I will see you guys next time.